Hi guys, today we're here at Rodeo 72 with Rene Ramos. He's running for District 2 here in Whittier. We're gonna sit with him and talk to him and see what changes he wants to bring to Whittier. Rene, thank you for joining me, bro.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's finally good to see you face to face.
Yeah,
We've had a
thanks,
few conversations over the phone, and face to face is it's very
way better.
Yeah,
Even though I got a face for radio,
you know? Right? I mean, if you say so.
Yeah. No, man, but tell us, like, how did you end up in Whittier? Like, did you find Whittier? Whittier found you? What's your background? How did you end up in Whittier?
So, and you see my campaign, and I take pride in saying that I am the only homegrown candidate.
Yeah.
So, if I'm gonna go a little bit back, so my dad's an immigrant. He came from Guadalajara, Jalisco.
Nice.
Particularly Cruz Vieja. Shout out to my people of Cruz Vieja who are supporting the campaign.
Nice. My mom's from Guadalajara.
Yeah, so he migrated and to East LA, City Terrace area.
Nice.
My dad didn't know a lick of Spanish. He met my mom who didn't know a lick of English.
What?
Yeah. She's a typical East LA girl, Garfield High grad, class of 1970.
Nice.
And love prevailed. Within 6 months they got married. 2 years later, I think a year later, I was born. And at 2 years old, they moved over here to Whittier.
Nice. So you've been in Whittier since you were like 2 or 3, right?
2 years old.
Nice. That's awesome, man.
My parents moved to a neighborhood called Sunrise.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know where that was at, and you're like, "That's good. I want to tell you about it."
Yeah. And for lack of better words, Sunrise is this little tiny part of unincorporated Whittier that many people really don't know about. We're surrounded by the city of Pico Rivera. If you jump over my parents' fence, it's really city of Pico Rivera.
Oh, okay.
And it's all industrial.
Nice.
So we were a standalone neighborhood with the zip code of 90601. So we are Whittier.
Yeah.
But nobody, like I said, it's kind of, I don't want to sound quirky, but if you know, you know.
Yeah.
And that's where it all started.
Nice.
Sunrise.
No, that's awesome, man. And what got you to want to run for District 2? Like, did you feel like you needed to make a change, or like what was it that motivated you to run? Like, I know your background's with law enforcement. So what made you want to run for District 2?
So this is a small story. Early in my career, and we want to talk about the city.
Yeah.
But I was a parole agent, and I was assigned to the Santa Fe Springs office.
Oh, okay.
And prior to me arriving, there was a parole agent who ran for office and was he ran for I think Senate, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, somebody in my profession, and he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's in politics, and he's part of our profession, and he did a lot good for not only our profession, but he did give a lot to Whittier because Whittier was his area.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, if he can do it, well, why not me?
Yeah, exactly. He motivated you, right?
Yeah.
He lit the torch.
He lit the torch, and I'm sitting there like, hey, that's what's one of us.
Yeah.
Doing it. I want to say he actually gave money to create the Greenway Trail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So looking at that now, all these years later, and I'm like, man, he really did something for the community. From the same background, he actually was a Norwalk guy.
Nice.
And I was like, well, if he can do it, I can.
Yeah.
Now, the only thing is, when I'm in it full on.
Yeah.
So I had to wait till I retired in order for me to give my full commitment to the city.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. And how was it, like, you being in law enforcement, and how do you see, like, being part of the city? Like, do you feel some sort of way? Because I know sometimes law enforcement has to answer to the city officials, and sometimes the city officials will ask law enforcement to do some things. So,
right.
Like, how do you feel of that dynamic, now being on the other side?
So, first of all, I love what I did. It was really good to me. And one of the things I told myself is, when you walk away from it, I want you to walk away with your head up.
Yeah.
Knowing that I can look at anybody in any city, because we worked all throughout the state, and know that I did my job with integrity.
Yeah.
And I accomplished that.
Yeah.
And now that I'm on this side, I feel great to be a Whittier resident.
Nice.
Just a Whittier resident, and ready to do what I have to do, my part,
Yeah.
to give back to the residents here in the city.
Nice, man. I'm glad to hear that. You know, like, I don't think a lot of people understand like the pride of Whittier that we have, you know, like being here for so long. Like, I went to high school here, like my kids were born here, they're raised here. Like, I was talking to my younger daughter today and she's like, yeah, I don't plan on living Whittier, Dad. Like, I'll go to school somewhere, but I want to come back, you know, I want to stay here. I love this city. And I always tell my kids, I feel like our city is better than like any other city because we're kind of away from the freeway, but not too far.
Right.
We got all the beautiful trees, you know, so it's an awesome city. But I want to change it up, bro. What do you think of the trees? What's going on? Because I'll give you my take. I feel like there's a side that's like totally like, oh, we need to cut every tree to make it better. And then there's another side that's like, we need to save every tree. And I think the truth is somewhere in the middle.
Absolutely.
What is your thought on the
I'm
tree
right there.
situation?
I'm right there with you, Manny. You know, to be drastic and just say everything's got to go. I mean, I'm an outdoors guy. You know, I'm hiking every day, and I'm, you know, so for me to say like, let's cut down a tree, like no, like just to cut them, no. $20 million just to do that, no. But realistically, can we save them all? No, you're right. There has to be a happy medium. You know, I have a 5-kiss tree in my property. I love that tree. I love it to death. My wife's like, you know, hey Rene, you know, and I pay to get it trimmed and all that. So there's no way I'm gonna sit here and say no. The tree's got to go. I do respect that. You know, there's a bigger component to it, but there has to be a way to meet in the middle. There's just no way.
No, and you know, I understand like. The mayor is getting a lot of heat, right? Because of it and all the city council. And I like to respect both sides. I'm a reasonable person, you know? And I feel that the way the city council's going and then the residents, it's just like a screaming match. Like I go to the meetings and I'm just like, why am I here? You know, it doesn't make sense. And I think a lot of people don't understand like getting insurance here in California. You know, it's hard for us to get insurance. The guy in charge of insurance in the state of California, in my opinion, is not doing a great job. It's hard for insurance companies to come in and do what they got to do. So, I mean, there is like a legitimate, like, both sides have a legit concern, as you know.
Absolutely, yes.
You know, so what do you think you would do? Like, what would be your strategy without giving too much info? Like, what do you think you would do? Like, for the trees, like day one, you know, you're there.
Everything goes back to the basics. Show me everything. I want to see everything I'm writing. I'm a really big policy person. You know, I want to read page by page, you know, the pros and cons. I want to learn about it before, like I said, come up with a good strategy and say, hey, this is the way it should be. Or, you know, get a little strong arm with it and hey, this is the way it has to be. But I need to educate myself page by page to come up with a good strategic plan to meet everyone in the middle, honestly. And that's pretty much the way I truly feel.
Yeah, you know, that's a good plan because I feel that right now we don't have any information. You know, like there's some residents that were like, hey, I'll pay for a camera inspection to check the sewage. Like, and that wasn't done. So I feel like there's like roadblocks that people are creating, like they're trying to like fast track it. So I think having like a town hall meeting and everybody talking about it and saying like, hey, you know, let's get all the information, let's reveal it, let's be transparent, let's show what trees are bad. I think that would be a good...
I would love to know.
I think that would be good info.
You know, a 2-hour city council meeting, we get so much. Obviously, we could sit here at home and start reading it too, but a town hall Q&A, why not? You know, obviously there's so many places in Whittier that we could sit here and host a town hall and talk about it. You know, I think back to one of your original questions, is why am I doing this? Is I can honestly say there's just a big lack of communication nowadays.
There is.
And if we talk about it, what if the solution's there?
Yeah, and I feel like social media has done that. Like, obviously, we're going to put this on social media, but
for sure,
I feel like social media has created this, like, got you moments. I got 15 seconds to make you look bad. Like, there's people doing hit pieces, and it's like childish games, like these TikTok things that aren't like, you know, I don't know. I'm against all that. I feel like there's enough negativity out in the world in different components of political atmosphere. So I think that we need to like come together, you know, with all the stuff that's going on. I wanted to ask you your opinion on what do you think of the ICE raids that happen, being that you have a law enforcement background? Like, what's your take on it? Like, what was like done wrong? What was done right? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
So, I mentioned it in prior forums and whatnot, any common sense person is gonna know that the activity that's going on with ICE is inappropriate. I give it a professional aspect of it because I know policy and procedure. I know use of force. I know First Amendment rights, Fourth Amendment rights. Search and seizure. So when I look at it, of course, I look at it at the immigrant aspect of it because I come from an immigrant father, but I also look at it in a professional manner because I know.
Because you had the badge.
I had the badge, and like I said, I'm a policy guy. I know what excessive force is. I know what unnecessary force is. I know when someone's civil rights are being violated. And I can sit there and point it out. So I have a different aspect that I would share with anybody. Anybody that wants to know my point of view, I would be happy to share with anyone because I give it that little angle that I don't think most people know. If I want to even go in a little further, during this campaign, someone approached me and says, "Hey, Rene, I just want you to know I support ICE." And the first thing that came out of my mouth, I said, "Let's talk about that." And I went,
why do you support it, right? Like, try to understand.
I said, "Let's talk about that." And then I gave them the factual points of view with the unnecessary forces and these detentions that are really not needed. When somebody obstructs and they, I know firsthand that the United States Attorney is not going to prosecute those cases, but in order for them to make a point, they take people into custody, which is unwarranted. But I explained to that individual that aspect of it, and he walked away and says, "Wow, I'm going to have to reconsider what I just told you because I don't see it that way."
Wow, that's good.
So,
and I want to give him credit because there's not a lot of people that listen to the other side, whether you're on the left or the right. Not everybody takes the time to learn from the opposite side right now.
And I just gave him facts, Manny, all facts. The facts are A, B, C, and D. So now that I've given you a professional point of view of it, how do you feel? And if he would have said, "Hey, well, hey, it was a good conversation," because it was about a good hour. Hour long.
And it's his right. I also feel that there's a lot of people that we're not respecting our points of view. I always tell people, "Hey, man, whatever you believe in, I support you. You have all the freedoms to do whatever you want. This is a beautiful country. Like, we could do whatever we want." Like here in Whittier, there's a family that has big parties, and then everybody's like going to the city council complaining about them, right? And I always tell people, this particular family bought this house, and it doesn't have to be them. It could be any family, right? You save up your pennies and you buy a house. You have the right to have a party, and you have a right to enjoy your house. And I was telling this person, I said, if I bought a $2-3 million house and I want to have a party and the city comes together and tells me no, I'm gonna say, all right, I'm not gonna have the party, but pay for my property taxes, because I'm paying a lot of property taxes.
Please provide it to me in writing.
Exactly.
Where is it in writing that says I could only have a certain amount of parties or, I mean, of course, there's like a curfew time and all that, and it's respected because obviously they do have neighbors. And we, like I said, everyone deserves, what the city's owed to them and what the rules are. But give it to me in writing.
And so that's one of the things, I feel that like, here in Whittier, we're headed into a place where everybody's against each other. So I'm hoping that, by us having these conversations and sharing our point of views, we can hopefully get to some younger people because I actually like that you're running and because I feel like you're bringing a younger side. I see our city council. I don't know how old they are, but I see them and I'm like, do they really represent me? And my kids.
Yeah, respectfully, yes.
And I don't want to say anything bad because I feel like the city council and the mayor, they've done a great job. The city's beautiful. I think this city is way better than any other city.
Yes, so absolutely.
You have to give them credit, right?
Right.
So,
sure.
But what do you think? Like, what are some other changes that you would want to bring to Whittier that haven't been implemented yet?
Well, I want to emphasize it again. I want to be the voice for the people. My really, it's back to basics. I want to make sure everybody gets the government they deserve. And we'll start from there.
Yeah.
Right? Let's make sure, hey, city government owes the residents A, B, and C.
Yeah.
That's automatic. We're gonna give them that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna establish and work our way up.
Yeah.
One thing I said in the candidate forum is that I do believe in term limits.
Yeah.
A younger person is gonna have better ideas than I do.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So when it's my time to go, it's my time to go.
Yeah.
Give it to the next person.
Yeah, you got to pass the torch, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, so doing it for 14, 16, with all due respect,
Yeah.
20 years,
Yeah.
there's no room for, and it discourages people to want to run because they're
Yeah.
like, man, that's locked in.
Yeah.
They're locked in.
I can't get them out.
Yeah. You know, so
Yeah.
so if there's any promise I can give,
Yeah.
is when my time's up, it's time for me to go.
Yeah, yeah. And
Give
I
it-
would love to see somebody that's like in their 30s, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I would think like, I wonder when fresh ideas, they got the computer down, they have all these like digital ideas.
Right.
I feel like they would bring in change that it would be awesome. You know, I
Yeah.
think we need that. I think the city needs that. I mean, a lot of older people will say, oh, they're not going to be able to run a city. But I mean, at some point you got to let go.
Right.
Like you said, you know, you've done your 15, 20 years. Like, you know, come on, it's time.
Yeah. It's a little overdue.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I really, truly, with my whole heart, is when it's my time to go,
Yeah.
it's time to go. Give
Yeah.
it to the next person.
Yeah.
And you're right about the technology. So, you know, when I left the job, technology is huge.
Yeah.
And, you know, it made it the younger guys a better person than me to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, I took a backseat to make sure that I can give them, you know, the integrity part. Hey, do
Yeah.
your job with this and the other. But the technology is what made them a lot better.
Oh yeah, they're more efficient, right? They can
Yeah.
do more
Oh, yeah.
with less. Yeah.
You know, and it was hard to play catch up when you get a little bit older. You know, you're like,
Yeah.
you try, but at the end of the day, that's on them, and let them run with it.
Yeah. And then one of the questions that I saw at one of the forums, they were talking about housing, right? Because I guess that's like a big issue. Like I have a lot of friends and coworkers that are between the ages of 20 and 30,
Right.
20, 35. Even my own siblings are like, oh, I can't buy a house. You know, it's hard, this and that. They make up a lot of excuses. And me, I'm against that, dude. I think that if you really put your mind into it, you could accomplish anything. That's what
Right.
I believe. And I do that to pass it on to my kids,
Yes.
obviously. I want my kids to be able to say, hey, my dad said I could do it, I'm gonna do it, right?
Right.
But there's a generation out there that they feel like buying a house is impossible.
Right.
You know, and I saw at the forum that they asked that question. And as a city council, like, what can you really do for that? You know, like, I don't see a city council being able to do anything, but like,
Right.
what is your thoughts on that?
So yeah, you know, I did a little research on that, and you know, I mentioned that I don't know if the second, I believe it's the second candidate forum. You know, obviously the city does not control interest rates, and but we do control who can come in and develop.
Yeah.
We can control who's going to come in, what they're going to develop, and I think I answered that day was, you know, take the time to listen to a developer that's going to say, hey, look, this little patch of property is going to be affordable,
Yeah.
and let's get it in writing.
Yeah.
But as the city council, I mean, there's just so much you can do. But if you really put an effort to really find that developer that truly feels that they can do something good for our residents, let's run with that person.
Yeah.
And let's give them the opportunity. And hopefully, 'cause,
Yeah.
you know, let's be real, you know, people can say things, but hey, let's get it in writing.
Yeah.
All this development is going to be all affordable.
Yeah.
And give the younger generation an opportunity to be a homeowner.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of projects going on in the district, and talking to other candidates and other people, they have said that they're against like big boxy buildings,
Yes.
like studios and stuff. And I'm kind of against it too. I feel like I want to have a yard and things like
Right.
that, you know. So I feel that. But what do you think of like? Do you think the city should be involved in it? Because my take is, I feel like the city should be involved more in like sidewalks, you know, safety, cops, parks, you know, and I feel that the market dictates the price of homes.
Right.
So like you said, you as a city council, you don't control the interest rate, you don't control the banks. That's out of your like jurisdiction.
Yeah,
To use a
definitely.
cop term.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel that there's gonna be a lot of residents that say, hey man, like the city council should, like their job is to like just take care of the city, the parks, safety. They shouldn't be involved in like housing and all that, like loans and things. What do you think?
I mean, so the two-part answer, you know, I think they should have some say-so because, like you said, I want to preserve what Whittier's about.
Yeah.
You know, Painter is an amazing street.
Yeah.
Those homes are incredible.
Yeah.
They're they're not a dime a dozen. They're you know, you don't see that everywhere.
Yeah.
So to keep that feel, I do want them to have some input on like, hey, what are you going to develop? I was contacted earlier today from somebody from District 1 and, you know, they were asking some opinions and one of it was like, hey, I don't want these tall
that's a big
condos. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want none of that anymore. And then the other part of that question in regards to the streets and all that, we have to being, you know, almost 30 years in government, government's always reactive.
Yeah.
I would like to see not only our city government, but a lot of other government be proactive.
Yeah.
You know, let's have our city workers out there. Like, I don't want you to call and say, hey, there's a pothole, but there's a city employee that sees it.
Yeah.
They could take the initiative.
Yeah. Let's be proactive.
Proactive, yes.
Yeah,
So in short, that's one of the things I want to do is be more of a proactive city.
Yeah, no, that's good. And do you ever think that you brought up a pothole and stuff? So do you ever think that our city can ever, or maybe you could do it when you win? Do you think that you guys the city can create a program that can get like high school students to like get involved with the city and like kind of fast track them into like a blue collar job? Like we were talking earlier off air, how you started off working at a shop and you have an automotive background just like myself. So like, do you think that the city can start a program that maybe they can bring in kids from high school that don't want to go to college, turn them into plumbers, electricians, and maybe have like a Whittier you know, some sort of a Whittier public works or something that they can do the plumbing, they can do the electrical. Do you think that's possible?
So I want to say, to answer you, yes, because I guess, you know, if they have internships in offices and stuff, why not an internship in something else?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to give a little bit of personal about myself. You know, my older son said, hey, Dad, I don't think college is for me.
Yeah.
And he took a trade and he made good at his trade and he's working for a huge corporation on a trade. So is it possible? Yeah. I mean, why not have an internship with, you know, our city yard and whatnot. I did, one resident did ask me, hey, Rene, why can't we have city employees that are homegrown Whittier people?
Yeah.
You know, same thing with the police department, which is two different things because the standards are different.
Yeah.
But why not?
Yeah.
Why not encourage city residents to become city employees?
Yeah.
They're going to take a lot more pride in the city.
Yeah.
They may be the ones that start something proactive.
Yeah.
But why not have an incentive program saying, hey, if you feel that you want to work for our city, this is a little incentive that we're going to give you by being a city employee and being from the city. So I think that is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Pasadena has it. You know, Pasadena has a lot of like, I mean, Pasadena has a big income coming in because they have the Rose Bowl, the parade.
Right.
So they have, I mean, I think we could do it here in Whittier too. You know, you start that program where you could have kids fast track them into plumbing, into the trades. Because as you know, like I'm a blue collar guy and I always preach like we're like the new rock stars.
Right.
Like the blue collar people are like the plumbers, the electricians, the HVAC, because of all the stuff that's going on. Computers, you need water, you need electricity, you need air conditioning. You know, so I want to ask you this question. What do you think of data centers? Because for me, a data center, I'm kind of split. Like, I don't have enough information.
Right.
Like, everybody's totally against it. And like the other day, I was talking to a lady and she's like, data centers are bad and this and that. And then I told the lady, but you drive a Tesla.
Right.
So a Tesla is kind of like a little data center.
Right.
You know, I mean, with my automotive background, you know, so like, how can you drive a Tesla and then be against data centers? I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm kind of like, I don't know what to say if they're bad or not. You know?
Right. So I don't know if you remember, because you did mention that you saw me at the first forum.
Yeah, I saw it.
And then when the data center, and you know, I gave a truthful answer. Is like, I don't know too much about it at that time.
Yeah.
Well, come, you know, a few weeks down the road, You know, I did a lot of research, and I'm still continuing to research, and some of Whittier residents actually send me information on data centers. Right now, for me personally, I think it's not suitable for at least our vicinity. And that includes the San Gabriel Valley, you know. Yeah, we love Whittier, but we also have to love our neighbors too.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have to support.
We can't say put it in Pico.
Exactly. No way.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think I know enough to say like I'm in the middle. I'm more against it right now.
Yeah.
And I probably will stay against it because, you know, we're old school, you know.
Yeah.
The Tesla, you know, what you mentioned about the Tesla, my son mentioned that earlier today.
Yeah.
That he had one of his friends say, oh, I want environmentally friendly cars, therefore I'm going to buy a Tesla.
Yeah.
And my son's into all that. And he's like, oh, that's worse than a gas car.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, in his eyes.
Yeah.
So for me to answer that question is I'm not for, period, a data center locally, not even within the San Gabriel Valley, you know. But I also want to know a little bit more on to where we can have one, you know. You know, you have those solar panels, you know, on the way going to Vegas.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that they do require like a lot of water and whatnot, but where there's a will, there's a way, right?
Yeah, and you know, I think like a lot of people that are against, and I like to play the middle, right? I want to hear both sides. I'm not like this extreme on either or the other side, but I like to hear both sides because a lot of the people that are against data centers, they're always on Instagram, like posting, and you go to the bank, there's no more money, it's all digital. So where do you think that comes from? The data center. You order your Uber Eats, guess who's processing that? The data center.
Right.
So it's like there's a lot of people that don't know enough. Like me, I don't know enough. I'm still kind of like, I think we need them because, you know, at my house, there's 3 kids, you know, me and my wife. The TV's on, the security cameras are on. We're like eating up Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So I mean, does the data center can they help improve my Wi-Fi? So who knows?
Right.
I might say yes to the data center. You know,
for
depending on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about right now, Manny. We could have a difference of opinion. And still be cool.
Yeah, we can still have a beer at Radio 72.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I don't wanna because I've you know, and I hate to go back to my career, but you know, I've been all over Southern California, and I would hate to say, well, hey, let's throw it up in the desert, or you know, I'm not gonna do that. But
where you're gonna go camping, right?
Yeah, right. I don't want to, you know, be at Joshua Tree and the data centers humming, you know, right up the way.
Yeah.
But I really feel that if there is a true need for a data center, there has to be a way, once again, research to put it in the appropriate place.
Yeah.
For me, Whittier is a big no. The San Gabriel Valley is a big no.
Yeah.
You know, I got love for the San Gabriel Valley as much as I do, you know, the city. So for me right now, it's a big no.
Yeah, okay. No,
locally.
That's good. I feel the same way. You know, I feel like I don't know enough about it. I do feel like we need it, but I don't know if we need it like in our backyard or in our neighbors, like you said, you know. But since you have a law enforcement background, I wanted to ask you, there was a lot of talk about Whittier not having enough police officers, and you having the background. You know, I think right now, I actually forgot the number, but I knew the number was like 100 and something officers.
130.
Yeah, 130. So is that 130 on patrol, or is that total? And then what do you think, having the background, do we need more? Do we need less? What's your take on that?
So I'm going to educate you a little bit because I actually was a supervisor during my career.
Oh, nice.
I demoted myself to do investigations, but so I did know a little bit about personnel.
Nice.
So 130 is 130 sworn officers. They're always going to keep that 130 number, but that also counts officers that are out on medical.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? You know, if they have to be on administrative leave, the number 130 is
just
there.
The total number.
Yes, and even if you're at 130, you can never predict retirements.
Yeah.
You might have one retiree, you might have 10.
Yeah.
You know, I left in 2025, and I want to say, you know, the department as a whole had a mass, you know, retirement.
Yeah.
And the city can't predict that. They can ask and say, hey, how many of you guys are going to retire? But, you know, I don't really like to put my cards on the table.
Yeah, you don't want to say that.
And with fairness to them, I don't feel like they have to tell the department. Would it be nice? Yeah, so that we can be prepared.
Yeah.
So 130 on patrol is not realistic,
Yeah.
and that's just in every police department.
Yeah, it's not just like,
Yeah, it's not
like
this-
LAPD has like 8,000, but it could be officers on the desk.
Yeah.
You know, that doesn't mean on the street.
No, it could be, you know, 100 of them are on medical.
Yeah.
Another 25 of them are on, you know, administrative leave, under investigation.
Yeah.
You know, and then the retirements never can be predicted.
Yeah.
So do you want to keep a cap of 130? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it realistically? It's not realistically for Whittier or any other city or any the county or the city of LA or the state.
Yeah.
But one thing I do know about Whittier PD, I used to work with them a lot.
Yeah.
Most of the people I worked with are gone, like me, retired.
Yeah.
We do have a lot of officers on the streets right now with 0 to 5 years of service.
Oh, okay.
Is that a bad thing? Not really. Because I also know that they do have veterans that are training these people.
Oh, that's good.
So for a fact, I know that the majority of the officers we have right now have 0 to 5 years experience.
Yeah.
Which is really not a bad thing because they're clean, they're fresh.
Yeah.
You know, they have the ability to still learn.
Yeah.
But retention is very important too, Manny.
Yeah.
We have to retain the seasoned officers.
That's probably the hardest part.
Yeah. Oh, retention is very important too.
Especially after like COVID, and I feel like there was a big movement when Gascon was in office, the DA. There was a big like movement saying defund the police, you know, and I was totally against that. And I even got a lot of heat from my own family. They're like, oh, the only reason you say that is because on your wife's side of the family, you have police officers. And, you know, I have a lot of love for police officers like yourself because you put your life on the line. You know, like for our family, there's sometimes when we have to switch the days that we have holidays.
Right.
Because they're working.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of sacrifice that your regular civilian, if you can say, doesn't know about law enforcement. You know, so I have a big respect for law enforcement, and also because I feel like us as Americans, we're not prepared to handle our own like security or our own life. You know, like we've kind of like said, I'm gonna have the law enforcement be in charge of my life and my security. Like, you know, here in California, there's a lot of people that are like against guns, gun ownership. You know, they're like, oh no, you know, I don't want to own guns. That's why we have cops. We don't need guns. Yeah. So then, but then at the same time, you said I want to defund the police. So I was like, man, these people are confused, man. You know. So yeah.
Danny, look, I really always like to keep it 100.
Yeah.
In my 26 and a half years, did I see a couple bad seeds? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot more good seeds than there is bad.
Yeah.
99% of the people that do the job are good.
Yeah.
But it's like in every profession.
Yeah.
Do we have bad technicians that are gonna flag a bunch of hours?
No. We have a lot of crybabies.
Exactly. And I can attest to that.
Yeah.
Because I can be honest with you too and say, hey, you know.
Yeah.
Even before I got on the job, you know, I used to do a lot of ride-alongs and whatnot. And one of the things that really made me want to do the job is that I had a ride-along with this deputy, and he was just bad. I mean, and I knew better. He was just mistreating people, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I want to do the job because I want to do it far different than him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can learn from bad people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the dude's name, but
I
just remember it was a crazy night. And I'm like, man, this guy's
he's off the rails.
Yeah. And I was like, I know there's a way to do this job, and it's not that way.
Yeah.
And that was one of my motivators.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, it was a tough time, the you know, the COVID era, the defund the police. But you know, we go back again to like everyone has a right to speak their mind.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's voice matters.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. I mean, if you want to defund the police, like you have every right. You know, I respect the right to protest and all that. Like, you know, tomorrow we're having the big like No Kings protest, right? Like, how does give us a little background, being that you used to be in the department. How do you plan for that? Like, what is like? Is it like sirens go off and you're like, all right, guys, get ready? Like, what happens?
So I do have relatives that are LAPD, so they're the ones that are impacted the most. You know, like the May Day marches, and then stuff like that. You know, they all get put on like tactical alert.
Yeah.
So they're notified, hey, it's gonna go down. We need you guys all on call.
Yeah.
And you will
Yeah.
be called. If you're activated, you're going to go.
Yeah.
So, it's everything requires an operations plan.
Yeah.
Once again, paperwork, knowledge,
being proactive, right?
Be proactive.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tend to forget, like I said, I do encourage protest. There's a need for it.
Yeah,
There's a need for protest.
Sure. And it's your right.
Yeah. But I think what people forget is when they're yelling at Joe Blue, that's the bottom man of the chain. He has to go home just the way the protester has to go home. And at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yep.
If I came at you and I started poking at you, you're eventually gonna be like, hey, Rene, stop already.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's funny you say that because that's how I felt about the ICE officers as well.
Right.
I feel like they got put in a bad position.
Right.
I feel like, you get thrown in an urban area, and you actually explained it to me in a phone call.
Yes.
You're like, hey, Manny, this is a bad thing because they're in an urban area. These guys don't know like the city. They're used to like being at the border. Like they don't see anything. So, I mean, you're the one that kind of schooled me on that.
So my philosophy to that is, it's like getting a Whittier PD officer and say, hey, I need you to go work the border.
Yeah.
And the Whittier PD guy is going to tell you, well, what do I do? They're going to tell you, because this is my true opinion, figure it out. and it might be, people might not like that, but that's what my perception is that they told them, hey, you go into LA and figure it out.
Yeah. On the job training.
It's bad. I don't agree with it,
Yeah.
But that analogy makes a lot of sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
The Whittier PD guy is going to be like, hey, well, I'm held to this high standard, and I'm going to stay to this standard, but maybe in a border setting, I've never worked a border setting. I can't tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, if you told me to go work it, I'm going to say, well, I'm going to do what I know what to do, which is treat people right.
Yeah.
So my analogy, I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
But also I take pride in I worked LA.
Yeah.
I know what it takes to work LA. And you better be ready. You better have your boots on ready, because my survival was treating people right.
Yeah.
Talking to people.
Yeah.
My mouth has gotten myself out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Because I took that extra minute to be like, hey, señor, señora, hey, ma'am.
A lot of respect.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So back to the ICE, it's unfortunate because it's like if they're just given the figure it out mentality, and they're out there doing what eventually is going to catch up to them.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it has, you already see a lot of turmoil. But let me ask you this, as a police officer, how do you feel like the city council being in charge of the chief? Because here in Whittier, there's a lot of big talk about that. Oh, well, the city council tells the chief what to do. And I feel like, the chief has done a good job. We haven't had any, is crime bad? Yes, there's crime everywhere.
Right.
And you can't stop it. The only way you could stop crime is starts at home.
Right.
You got to have a mom and dad that discipline you. A lot of people say, oh, the chief is corrupt. The mayor's corrupt. There's a lot of corruption being thrown out there, right? But then I look at it and I say, okay, well, the kids that are doing the bad things that the police attack, who are their parents?
Right.
Who are their mom and dad?
Yeah.
Do they have discipline at home? Do they have a mom and dad that's holding the line? Because I feel like it starts at home. But how do you feel about the chief of police having to answer to the city council or to the mayor that's 60, 70, and he may not know tactics.
Right.
And he depends on you. How do you feel about that?
So one thing I learned, us being from the 90s and knowing how back in the day, straight gangbanging, right?
Yeah.
We go to Uptown, and I'm not going to promote any, but we knew that that's what it was back then.
Yeah.
And me only being 8 months away from the job, I didn't come to realize until it was told to me the other day, reliable source. They said, hey, Rene, you're a gang cop. My whole career was gangs.
Yeah.
What do you think about the city? What's our biggest issue? You think there's still gangbangers out there? And I say, well, you know what? I'm not too sure. Once you leave the job, you kind of want to separate yourself from the everyday knowings.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, what was told to me, Whittier's one of the biggest problems right now in Whittier is mini bikes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it took me to ask, or took me to sit with somebody to know that.
Yeah.
So are the residents actually taking the time, instead of just bam, 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 bam?
Yeah.
Take a minute to make a phone call and say, hey, I would like to know What is our biggest issue?
Yeah.
Or you know,
Or is it catalytic converters?
right? You know, my neighbor had one stolen not too long ago.
Yeah.
And then the only knock on wood for the city, they're saying the violent crime right now is coming from like narcotics.
Yeah.
So the days of the gangbangers and people shooting each other up, right now, that knock on wood in the city is almost non-existent.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be gangs.
Yeah.
But I think people need to take the time to ask.
Yeah.
Once again, communication.
Yep.
You know, I did a piece not too long ago. They said, hey, when people think that we spend too much money on costs, whatever, I go, those same people, have they ever taken the time to go on a ride along?
Yeah. I think that'll solve a lot of issues. You know, because I've done a couple, and I see the way that things go in the family and what you do, man, and it's like it's a tough job, bro. And it's not easy. You're a target. Every time you put on that uniform, you're in that cop car, man.
You know, the it's kind of sad, but you know, I had a take-home car, you know, and they would stereotype those cars with ice. You know, luckily I chose to retire. I think in the height of this whole ice thing.
Yeah.
Give myself 6 more months, and I'm sure my house would have been targeted, thinking that this car was related to ice. There's a couple of TikTok videos out there of me thinking that we were ice when we obviously were not.
Yeah.
But you know, it's like I said, the stereotype. And like I said, take a ride along here in Whittier. I'm sure they'll give you one.
Yeah.
And if not, call me and I'll make it happen for you. I promise you that. Even if I'm not elected.
Yeah.
And then go somewhere else, South LA. And I'm not talking bad about those areas, but you're gonna see the difference of what these officers have to deal with. And then come to a conclusion. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't have experience that are trying to like say things and like and just put their own 2 cents in without really knowing, you know. So I get that, you know.
And it goes back to what we first said. I think if and it goes on both sides. I'm not just saying residents.
Yeah.
But you know, my biggest thing is that when, you know, and I haven't said this, but I was going to city council meetings in my normal attire. I had a little hoodie on, a pair of shorts, some sandals, and I was sitting there and watching and watching and watching. Didn't engage with nobody. And I was watching and watching, and I said, well, some of these residents are really mad and very vocal. But then again, you got, you know, the city council just sitting there. But did the city council forget, hey guys, when this is all over, let's talk?
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
And I'm not throwing shade on the council, but based on my observation, nobody took the time to say, hey, you know what, person to person, we can talk after the meeting. Yeah,
and it's funny because I go to the city council meetings. I've said it in all my videos. I'm like, why am I here, bro? Like, there's no moving forward. It's just screaming on one side. The other side's writing stuff down. They're listening. They're just like counting the minutes for this to be over. And it's like, I don't think this is gonna solve anything, you know?
There's nothing wrong with giving somebody 10, 15 more seconds.
Yeah, there isn't.
You know, and I've never said this in public yet. If elected, I wanna be the kind of guy that doesn't come from the side chambers. I wanna be the guy that walks in with the residents.
Shakes hands.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Everyone okay?
Yeah.
That's the bare basics. Are you guys okay?
Yeah, you're bringing the law enforcement side.
Hey, is everyone good?
The respect.
Yeah, everyone good? Okay, look, let me go handle our business. And then when it's over, I'm still gonna come back out and say, all right, hey, you guys have a good night. You guys take care. You know, what does that cost a city council person?
I mean, I think that when you've been in office for so long, I feel like you've been numb to it. You know, it's just kind of like if you have a certain individual doing a certain job, they've been doing it for so long that you've kind of lost. You lost yourself in the sauce. You know, like that's what I think.
And you know what? We won't know until we do the job.
Yep, exactly.
You know, this job right here is like any other job. We're gonna say, some people might say, hey, from day one, I'm going boots running. But realistically, let's learn the job and master the job before we say that we're going to be able to do the job. And like I said, don't be so focused. like I took more pride in being Rene at work than I was a special agent or this and that.
Yeah.
You know, my colleagues would be pissed that I would sit there and talk to somebody's mom an extra 5 minutes when, hey, we're hungry, bro. We, you know, it's time to get coffee. Well, hey, give me those 5 minutes because, and that has to apply here at City Hall.
Yeah, it goes a long way. I think having that open communication, being able, like, I know some of the other candidates, they've said like that they want to have like a daily, like a town hall once a week,
right?
You know, and then I think you would be perfect for that for District 2 because being that you're retired, you have a lot of time and you got to fill it right with some stuff. And I think that you would be perfect for that for District 2. You could say, hey, on Tuesday, I'm gonna be at 6740.
Right.
Come on down. Let's talk. Bring your issues.
Yeah.
You know, I'll have my assistant there. You can tell me if there's a pothole, if there's what's going on. You know, and I think that's what we need. You know.
And because I told you I like to get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
Like I want to be that guy. You know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to throw shade to the city of LA, but if emergency planning is a big issue for me. It's a big topic for me. Like I really want to go and turn the water on.
Yeah.
You know, I want to put my hand and say, hey, I did it. Not, hey, I was told, or on this report it says this. You know what I mean? I want to do it right along with the city workers.
Yeah.
And sit there and
see what they go through. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I had another resident tell me that if you go up Greenleaf, there's a lot of, because he brought it up to my attention. He goes, man, they want to cut all these trees saying that they're a problem. But he's like, if you go all the way up Greenleaf and you go up there, you see a lot of trees that really need to be dealt with. Right. That they're dead and they're actually like a fire hazard. Right. That should be priority. Yes. You know? So there's a lot of stuff going on.
You know, I glanced at the emergency manual online, so I don't know if it's currently being revamped. I saw something that it might. Yeah. But that needs to be up to par. Yeah. Like there's no questions. I mean, if I have to do it myself, with expert help, I want to be that guy. Our emergency planning has to be priority, like number one priority. We have the hills. Those hills I have near and dear to me because I spend a lot of time up there, The homes right below the hills, those residents see me every day. Yeah. We owe them that safety umbrella. So that's one of my biggest push, It was told to me, hey, Rene, you don't have enough political experience. Yeah. But I have the experience of being a 50-year Whittier resident. Yeah. And I know what matters to the people, and I know what they care about.
Yeah, and I actually think that's a plus, bro. Like, I like that somebody that's running, they're not a politician. Right. Because you bring in, like we were talking earlier, fresh eyes, a fresh mind. Yeah. You don't have all these, like, ways, all these political ways of doing things. Like, you bring fresh ideas. You're like, well, why are we doing it that way? Right. Oh, it's because we did it since the 1930s. Where it's like, we have ChatGPT, bro. We have a computer in our pocket. Why are we still doing it this way? Like, one of the things that a lot of residents complain here in Whittier is like getting like projects done. Getting my permits approved. Why does it take so long? Having inspections, like. Do you think the city has anything to do with that? Like, because I don't know, but do you think the city council can help, like, expedite that? Like, let's say you guys come up with an ADU plan that's like, hey, these are approved. If your house meets the requirements, the lot size, right, you could start building tomorrow. Stamped, here you go. Like, do you think that you could do that here in Whittier, or are ADUs bad?
Well, I mean, I'm just going to talk about permits and access to permits because I actually, in 2008, I doubled the size of my home.
Oh, nice.
And there was from what I recall, there was some red tape there, some red tape that I'm like...
My brother's going through it.
Yeah, they want to do an historical evaluation on the west side of town. I'm like, I don't know what's historic about West Whittier, and that's my home. I love it, Yeah. But that was kind of a red tape for me where I'm like, I ain't nothing historic. I mean, my house is built in the 40s, but I'm not giving it so there has to be some sort of way to streamline it. There has to be less red tape so that, we can add on to our homes or do the ADUs, because that's how we're going to,
Hey, could you imagine, like, you're doing something in your house and then the city of Whittier comes and says, you can't cut that tree. It's protected. And you're like, what the?
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. But yeah, my personal experience with it was, well, I did it the easy way, and not that I have money, but I told my contractor, hey, if there's any issues with the city, it's not my problem, it's your problem.
Yeah, that's why you hired him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I did notice that there was some red tape, and that was in 2008. But it goes back to what I said earlier, Manny. You're not gonna know exactly what it is until you start doing the job.
Yeah, yeah.
Straight up.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, is there anything you'd like to tell now that we're wrapping it up? Like, tell the residents in District 2, like, what do you want to tell them? Besides to go out and vote for you, obviously,
Right.
but what message do you have for the voters in District 2?
You know, and I like you said that, Manny, because it's really important for you to go out and vote. If I'm not your candidate, I'm man enough to say, if I'm not your candidate and there's someone that's suitable for you, please make sure and get that vote in.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be a part of an election that's going to have a big voter turnout, a big one that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah.
So, because I'm humble enough to say, if I'm not your candidate, please put in your vote for your candidate. And if I am, I really, really, really appreciate you, because like I've said in the past, what you see is what you get.
Yep.
I'm just a phone call away, and that's just who I am.
Yeah. No, man, thank you. I appreciate it. And like I told you before we started, I have a big respect for all the candidates that are running.
Yes.
And I feel that you guys, you know, you're putting yourself out there, your families, everybody, and it's not an easy thing to do, you know. And I also want to give a shout out to the people that are in the city council now and the mayor. I know they take a lot of heat, you know, but we also got to give the current city council and the current mayor some credit, because I feel like they've done a good job with the city, you know, and they don't get enough credit for that.
Yeah.
I feel like the mayor gets a lot of heat, and I've seen him, I ran into him, and he's a good guy, you know. I don't think he's a bad person, and I don't think anybody's doing things intentionally to hurt the city. I just think that they have an older style, you know, and we need a little bit of change, and we're at a crucial part of doing that.
Yeah, there always has to be a respect for the office of the mayor, the office of the city council. You know, at the end of the day, they're still humans. Yep. We're all humans. Yeah. And we're forgetting that.
Yeah. The people that paved the way, right, for us to vote and to be able to run and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we seem to forget, hey, at the end of the day, we're human beings before we're anything else.
Yep. Yeah, we forget that.
Yeah.
Well, Rene, thank you, bro, for sitting with me.
I appreciate you so much.
Hopefully we do it again.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
And we get to do another video, and maybe we do a live on IG.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. I'm here. I ain't going nowhere.
All right.
So thank you, Manny. I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro. Go out and vote, guys.